Aloha everybody, what's going on my dudes? Welcome to another RuneScape news coverage video. For this video, we'll be talking about the monetization in RuneScape that was discussed in today's live stream. So without any further ado, let's jump right into the video. Let's go.
Cats is the illest. What you talking about, Willis?
Alright guys, before we get started, a little bit of a warning. There was a lot of vague stuff or vague answers in this live stream, unfortunately. So I'm mainly going to focus on some of the more prominent things and what I felt was the key points of the live stream. So let's get started. First off, they want to make this addressing monetization thing a regular occurrence. So they do want to do follow-ups, want to make it a more regular thing, make it not so taboo talking about monetization in this game, and basically be more transparent overall. So recently there was a lot of outcry over the monetization in RuneScape. This is exacerbated by the lack of game content that we've had in the end of the year, extremely overpowered treasure hunter promotions, as well as the DCM reports in the UK, and more specifically in regards to what RuneScape is doing. Now I live in Hawaii, so I don't really understand what's all going on in the UK. Maybe somebody could enlighten me in the comments. But basically what they're doing is they're waiting on recommendations from Parliament or whatever committee is associated with it to give them recommendations on what they need to do with their loot box situation in RuneScape Treasure Hunter. So until that happens, they're obviously planning and making adjustments to Treasure Hunter, but they're not going to open up to the community about it until they get those recommendations. They said there's a general election going on in the UK or coming up, so that might stunt that. I don't know. Maybe somebody can give me some more information regarding that. Anyways, I'll quickly touch on why Jagex has stated that MTX is needed in the game. First off, MTX is currently about 50% of the money that Jagex makes, the other half being subscriptions, obviously. And the reason why they need this money is because production has gone up dramatically in terms of RS3. It's far more expensive to produce content in the game, and they've hired a bunch more talent to work on the game. So that's why currently membership is not enough to support that. But in terms of being transparent, what exactly does Jagex want to do in terms of their monetization of the game? Well, they said on stream, first off, they want to provide more value. Not entirely sure how they plan on executing that, but they want to make more bang for your buck, basically. They also want to create reasons to play the content, get together, participate in events, etc. And not only that, make it fit in or belong in the game instead of feeling layered on. They also want to include things like drop rates. Currently, the Treasure Hunter drop rates are available on mobile, but they want to make that available to desktop as well, so they're 100% transparent about that. Next thing they talked about is auras. They do have plans on making them more available through regular gameplay, and some auras may be purchasable with bonds, much like we've seen with the Majorat aura earlier this year. On a related note, they want to overhaul the stores as a whole. In RuneScape, they have so many stores, things like your Solomons, your Ottomans, your rare items, store loyalty points, etc. They want to bring all that together into a unified system. This could help with your things like auras, and it could also help with other hidden things behind paywalls like extra presets. That said, we don't exactly know how that's going to manifest, but they do plan on tackling unifying the stores. Hopefully doing all that will alleviate pressure on using Treasure Hunter so aggressively. Next up, the RNG approach that Treasure Hunter utilizes needs a complete change, as they stated in the live stream. The games industry as a whole, especially considering modern times and the current uproar of microtransactions in gaming and it associated with gambling, etc., industry is moving away from that type of monetization model. So you are going to start to see changes fairly soon. In fact, Mod Warden on stream was pressing Mod Mike to give us a date as to when we can see changes, and Mod Mike ended up saying by the end of the month we can already see some of these things coming into play. In terms of things that they want to avoid going forward in the future when it comes to Treasure Hunter is strictly combat gear. That's something they want to completely avoid adding going forward, considering the large backlash that they had recently when they added Virtus. They currently have no plans whatsoever to add Pernix or Torva to the Treasure Hunter. They did ask the chat, and the chat obviously said no, they do not want the other two styles, so that's something they're going to be avoiding. Somebody asked about the Catwalk, the most recent Treasure Hunter promotion. They said it did very well in terms of the community reception, so that's good to hear, but it didn't do as well in terms of comparing it to the XP promos, which obviously I think many of us would assume the whales tend to buy the XP and wouldn't be so interested in the cosmetics, but they have done cosmetic things in the past regarding Treasure Hunter, and this is something that is likely to continue going forward, which is also very good to hear. Another concern players had is the recycling of overpowered promotions. This is mainly due to them not having or have invested much into the MTX team in terms of resources, manpower, that kind of thing. But currently they are investing more into the team, which will allow them to do much more experimenting and innovation to drive the change that they've lacked in the past. Hopefully that means less overpowered promotions, more creative things like cosmetic type stuff, but it's all still very vague. Next up we have Rune Pass. This was implemented last year in July. Jagex felt like they didn't execute it the way they wanted to. They were very disappointed with how it was handled. Not enough time was allocated to it, and it wasn't really planned out that well. Players felt that it was underwhelming in terms of rewards, both the paid version and the free track. So Jagex does plan on doing more with this, but making it much more valuable in terms of the progression and what you earn from it. Also looking at making it free for any players who have the Premier Club package. So that'll be very interesting. So that pretty much concludes the bigger portions of the live stream. Obviously things I covered were still fairly vague for the most part. We don't really have a clear indication of exactly what's going to be changed, but they do plan on having a blog next week that will be a little bit more in depth, give a more definitive look at things that we can expect to see with Treasure Hunter and microtransactions as a whole. So I will cover that going forward whenever that comes out next week. And as I said, they do want to make this a reoccurring thing where they address microtransactions on a regular basis. So when we hear more, obviously I'll let you guys know about it. Let me know what you guys think about everything discussed so far down in the comments below. I know it's still very divisive, but I really hope we can start seeing some real good changes. Mod Warden does seem pretty promising. I hope he pulls through and is as upstanding as he appears, so we'll see. With that, I'm wrapping up the video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed yet, you want to stay up to date on all things RuneScape related, hit that subscribe button. Anyways, I appreciate you watching. I am out. Aloha.